All right, let's look at the second question, London Advertising Agency. And this one is a fairly recent one. I'll tell you the date and the exam date shortly. But if you notice in this one now, we got a transfer pricing, but it's not that we have to calculate any transfer pricing. We need to know the principle that made it work and speak to it. But it had more than transfer pricing in there. It also had CSF and KPIs. That's all. So it says evaluate whether evaluate how the following help LLA to manage performance in order to achieve its stated objectives. So coming back to the old concept that we judge everything off the business's objectives, yeah. Okay. All right. So it's two things they want to see. The first is identifying the critical success factor of producing high quality creative design. And secondly, setting the key performance indicator for the requirement to purchase 90% of design work internally. All right? What does that mean? What does that mean? What are we supposed to do with these two parts to part A?
I guess the first one, what do you need? What would the company need to produce high quality creative design? I guess it will be in,
so look at the first part. Look at the first part. So this evaluate. See that? How the following help LLA to manage performance in order to achieve its stated objective. Now come back to that thing where you say you don't like the one, never say how. So in other words, look at the very first one. If they identify their critical success factor as producing high quality creative design, will that help them to meet their stated objectives? And what are their stated objectives? Look at the four things, right?
And so what needs to be done? You need to evaluate if they have, that's it, you need to evaluate if they
So
have.
no, what you want to find out if that is the only critical success factor they have.
So,
Can knowing that critical success factor help them to, for example, delight our customers by the quality of our work? All right, so the evaluation part is that the basis is the critical success factor. All right, and not just any critical success factor, this particular critical success factor of, it's written somewhere in there, being able to produce high quality creative design. Because it says there, they have identified the importance of being able to produce high quality creative design as a critical success factor in the business. So they are saying, if we do well in this area, right, it will enable us to meet our
objective.
So we are to look to see if we agree, right? That the identification of that CSF will help them to achieve all four. So I take them one by one and say if yes, it helps. If it don't help, we say it not help. If it helps, we need to say, oh yeah man, that will help you achieve that objective. And it's the same thing we do for the KPI part as well. Alright? So we're clear? Alright. To ensure, alright, so let's say them come up with this creative thing, blah blah blah. Can it delight customers? Can it help them to achieve their objective of delighting customers with the quality of their work? Yeah. Alright? So that CSF of the being able to produce high quality creative design should, if they do well in it, help them to delight our customers by the quality of the work. Alright? Then you go to the second one. That same CSF, will it help them to achieve this one? Provide excellent value for money to our clients.
No.
Why not?
Because it would indicate, basically it would indicate that this design can be outsourced cheaper. I don't know. So is that value for money for the
Right,
customer?
right. Something like
I don't
that. Alright,
know
I mean
if
there,
I-
but so we put it another way for you.
Yeah.
But yes, the point that you're making is the point that we're looking for. The CSF is what again? Produce high quality design. High quality design does not mean the same thing as value for money.
Right.
Because if the customers can get high quality design cheaper outside, then the customer will consider the outside one value for money.
Right.
So you see how we're using it? That's what we're doing. So we're taking the CSF and see if it can be matched to each of the 4 objectives. Alright? And then we go to the other one. Give our clients access to specialists, knowledge and specialists and local knowledge.
No.
No. High quality design don't tell me that you're allowing me access to specialists and local knowledge. So no. And ensure our clients, the 4th one, return to us time after time.
I don't agree with the issues they had, like they never meet deadline. So that was one of the issues. If it's gonna cost more, then the client will come back.
Right, yeah.
Not necessarily right.
So it's probably the meeting of the other objectives, like delighting customers, providing value for money, giving them specialist knowledge and those kind of things that will make them come time after time. The CSF really only address one of those things, so it not even address the value for money, so that won't guarantee that your customers come back time after time. So that CSF, so in effect, you know, that CSF only work for 1 out of
4.
the 4, yeah. Alright?
Does that mean, not for this question,
Yeah.
does that mean that LAA would need a different
More right, yeah, additional CSFs. Right, yeah. And I guess that's the point, that one CSF don't really work, but you don't have too many either. Right?
Yeah.
And what about this one KPI? All subsidiaries, including A, must purchase at least 90% of creative work internally from A.
No,
So then we'll go through and we'll see which one of them.
no, you're not even one. Because the customer not happy, it's expensive, there is no local knowledge. I mean, the examples are there enough.
A whole lot of examples.
Yes,
are
and
for sure that this
and the
KPI.
clients are not, one client will not, I don't think that client is coming back.
Yeah.
In subsidiaries.
Right. So imagine if you set a KPI to all managers. Remember, the managers are going to be judged on it. Alright? It's measurable and provable. So the managers are obviously trying to do it to make sure so them get them bonus. But look at the drawback with it. Go back to the first objective, to delight our customers by the quality of our work. If you purchase 90% of your work internally, that don't guarantee that the customers get the best quality work, as we see in many of, and you can bring in one of the examples. Right? Provide excellent value for money for our clients. Again, the example in the case suggests that that is not so. Because the customers then have to pay more, and then there's big debates and they're not paying no more.
And then you have to discount.
Right?
That's for money.
To give our clients access to specialists and local knowledge. That KPI, they don't address that either. Again, the case suggests that they never had a specialist knowledge. Them come up with a design that was okay in which one of them, G land, but not in the other land. Right? To ensure our clients return to us time after time. But if you fall up on the first three, they're not going to come back time after time. So the KPI itself of the 90% don't fit any of the 4 objectives. The CSF fit 1. And so most of the examples that are in the case is related to the KPI. I ain't give us those. So that's what that question was about. So take the CSF, match it against the objectives, and take the KPI and match it against the objectives. And then use the examples in the case. Yeah. Alright? And it does ask you about CSF and KPIs from time to time. And that's the same thing I always do. Find out what the objectives are. Sometimes I give you measures, and the measures, if you give us CSFs and KPIs, it might tell us that the company have these measures. And what they're going to do is if any other measures tie in back to the CSFs. You can always test the CSFs against the objectives. So if you give the CSFs and then ask if I match it against the objectives, you can make a comment and say, no, sir, them CSFs are not really matched to all of the objectives. But may I do the task we ask if I do, but may I make a statement the first. Alright? He likes when I make that statement. He never asked you for it, but it is relevant. Alright? So it's not just you are right stuff for fluffle. It's a relevant point you're making. So you put it in there, and you smile. Alright. So I like a sneaky 2 marks, we will have a hide. Yeah. So you get it there. Alright? So skeptical of everything. Alright? Alright, so then the other part now, B said, assess the need for a formal transfer pricing policy at LMA. Oh, just before you start answering that there, look back at A, I must point out something. You may have all seen it already anyway, but I just want to just reinforce it a bit. You see how much marks was for A? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was 2 parts, 4 marks each, 4 objectives. Okay. You mustn't be writing anything long. Because it's like 1 mark per point. Yeah. I remember you have to do the CSF and you have to do the KPIs. Yeah. So if you get carried away with writing too many stuff now, it's not worth it. Yeah. Alright? There's 2 things, and the way you do it, you may even break it down to your CSF 4-4. You must get 1 grand total and say 8. Alright? But there's 2 things you want to do, and there's 4 objectives. Alright? Alright, so back to not B now. Assess the need for a formal transfer pricing policy at LLA. This is an assess, not an evaluate, but in many instances the assess is like an evaluate, alright? Which means that we have a rule that says when it's an evaluate, we start with the basis.
With the what?
With the basis.
Basis?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the basis in this case is almost an explanation, but also it links to what makes a good transfer pricing policy. A good transfer pricing policy seek to establish 3 things.
Well, the basis is like the definition.
Yeah.
So
right.
what's the concept around?
Right, yeah. And it's about what? Goal congruence, divisional autonomy, goal congruence, divisional autonomy, a fair, right, method of evaluation. Yeah. Just missed the race, just finished.
Which one that? 200?
100 meter.
One.
Shani.
1 second.
Dina Asher Smith.
So did they come?
Third? Fourth?
I think she probably come forth because it's the what's her name?
So Smith is our girl?
No, it's a UK girl.
Oh,
Right. But Shelly was just imperious in the semifinal.
Yes! Oh my god, it surprised me. That's why I'm related to Mr. Hall. My girl, what's her name? The girl there.
Oh, she never run. She withdraw.
What's her name?
Skippers, Daphne.
She wasn't in the semi-final.
Yeah, but she withdrew for the final.
Oh.
We don't know but she said she can't run.
Oh.
Right.
But she not gonna make it. She wouldn't make it because she come like.
No one should make it.
Oh,
Because her lane was empty. So them said she not starting. And they had a big discussion about it, whether she can run on the 200. And then I said if she have a medical certificate, she can. Okay, if you withdraw from one event.
Oh,
then-
yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But when you look at Sherry just look like she was just.
Effortless.
Yeah. In the semi-final, she was effortless and she did it in.
Everybody benefits.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so that becomes the basis, guys.
Fair enough. Alright, so it says gold congruence.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
A divisional autonomy. Right.
Autonomy,
Right. And a fair measure. So those things we can use.
So these are the what?
So these are the bases.
The bases.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So any good transfer pricing must be set in a way so that those things are achieved, right? And so what we're gonna say, because you notice he didn't ask if it was a good transfer pricing. He just said, should they have one? Right? And so we're gonna use those things to say, yes, they need to have one because there's a lot of food which is a one at the place. Right? So let's start, for example, like with the autonomy. Why we like autonomy? Why are we suggesting autonomy is a good thing?
For AAA,
For the divisional managers.
for the divisional managers,
Says that.
Yeah.
3 autonomous divisions.
So they're autonomous
oh yes, and their profit centers.
and their profit centers. Right, yes. The reason why, but there's another thing we can put in there in terms of the reason why we are pushing autonomy. Autonomy motivates managers. Because they are making decisions themselves. Rather than you are hand down stuff on high from up to them. Right? And that's the idea, because you want them to maximize the division's performance. So you have got to enable them.
And saying that directors are concerned that the new KPI is causing the managers to operate in a way that is not helping any objectives.
So you see the goal congruence thing then now too?
You're reading something?
Yeah, so she was reading.
Okay, the directors, okay.
Right. And so the goal congruence not happening, which is not, even though I'm giving you autonomy, I don't want you to act selfishly at the expense of the company. And that, again, look at the case, that is what is happening, to the point where you can run with the customer. Right? That you end up now, after you pay back customer money, give back customer money, redo work without all them kind of things there because you're spending.
Because there's no because the mandate was handed down from
Right,
corporate
yeah.
90%.
And if you notice, it also mentioned in there, I think it is under subsidiary B, is it? Yeah, subsidiary B, the second paragraph, when I said there's no formal transfer pricing policy and that the manager spend a lot of time negotiating. That's not what the manager is supposed to waste them time on. We need them to run the division and not negotiate price between each other.